if you believe that this tentative agreement is worthy of a yes vote, you could debate that. There's no shame in that. Um, and that's what we want to do here. We want to make this a reasonable, rational debate. We're not going to, worry about is this pro-union, anti-union. No, uh, it is pro-union to debate because we don't elect a boss. That's not what union leadership is about. So I'm going to get this open right here. And if you don't see what's happening on the screen, let me know. Um, so here we are. We're doing this update, but I want to open up the. I gotta excuse me. I gotta mute this thing here. Uh, man. Okay. So here we're looking at the tentative agreement. Now the latest is this came out here yesterday, and this just goes right to the main point of the agreement, right? It's wages. So President McCoach basically compared. I hope y'all can see this. Let me try to zoom in. Ah, okay, I can zoom in a little bit better that way. So here's what they're doing. They're trying to compare each president in Local 308. Now, Local 241 it's the same, okay? It's just different names, but it's the same uh agreement, okay? So you might as well just put whatever year and whatever name in there for the 241 side. But she put this out. So she's showing all these little raises and comparing them and saying there's no concessions, there's the dates, here's the names, and all of these raises are pathetic. They're really bad. There's nothing good about any of this. You're talking single digits. So when you do the math from 2020 on to 2024, okay, the end of 2024, and you look at the cost of goods and services as far as the inflation cost, how much more it costs now than in 2020, you're talking a 22%. Now, Wall Street Journal recently, I saw the article and I posted briefly about it on Instagram. Healthcare costs from 1999 up until today have increased over 200%. So let's go all the way down to 2012, which is, not really to the 1990s. So let's just cut out 100% minus 100 from that 200%. So our healthcare costs have gone up 100%. None of this will compensate for that. None of it. So every single one of these raises sucks. So to say, oh yeah, look at me, I'm patting myself on the back, as one of my brothers put it. No, and the concessions are baked into these. See, back in the day, they used to cut our wages. Now they just give us little teeny tiny raises. So it's the same thing. It is a concession. Having part-time jobs is a concession. Does anyone want to have anything to say? Does anyone disagree with me? Does anyone agree with me? Go ahead and speak.
Well, I agree, that's for sure. They can say it's not a pay cut because you got a raise, but it is a pay cut because the cost of living keeps getting higher and higher, so your paycheck buys you less and less.
And let's talk about the rent too. Kathy, you're a retiree, retired switchman. You lived in Rogers Park, the north side, that used to be an affordable place to live, but you actually had to move. You had to leave.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Okay. Well, I lived in Rogers Park for a long time, over 30 years. And the rent just keeps going up and up and up and up. And the apartments aren't improving, and the landlords are becoming like feudal kings or some shit, and treating the tenants really poorly. It's really stressful. Anyway, yeah, the rent was going higher and higher, and I knew it wasn't ever going to go back down unless there's a rent strike, and that would be wonderful, citywide. But yeah, so I felt like my best bet was to move. So I moved back to rural Wisconsin where I grew up, right in the same house where I grew up. So at least I don't have to pay rent, and I'm only an hour and a half away. But yeah, it's happening to a lot of people. Rent and people who are homeowners have to pay for a lot of stuff, and the prices of that keeps going up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you very much. And I was talking with a servicer. She told me, Brother Eric, my rent is going up $200. I said, so tell me, what is this 1.5% going to do for you?
Nothing.
You know, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anybody else want to comment about this before we move on?
Yeah, I like to comment, Eric.
Yes,
You
sir.
know, basically what Penny McCoach is doing, and and President Keisha Hill might do the same thing real soon. All she's doing is campaigning right here with this. You know, showing all these presidents, Eric Dixon, Kenneth Franklin. You know, we know everything that's going up. The average CTA worker is only seeing 50%. It's only seeing 50% of their gross. Everything's going up, pensions going up, healthcare is going up, union dues is going up, everything is going up. And these so-called union leaders, I call them misleaders. I call them fake union leaders. They so-called negotiated with CTA on this contract. I don't think they negotiated at all. I think I think CTA just gave them this is what we're gonna do, and you're gonna sell it to your members. Because uh, for them not to improve the working conditions for CSAs, to get people promoted faster, quicker. This is a slap in the face. Uh, the frontline workers, the operators, the bus operators, the rail operators, we are the ones that run the service, bring in the revenue. And now that they're back to full capacity with the bus operators, because of us, they're saying, oh, we're bringing service back to pre-pandemic levels. Well, that's great and all, but how about improving the working conditions? How about that? So the turnover won't be so high. That's all I got to say.
Um, if I can
Go
comment on
ahead.
that
Go ahead.
too as well. I'm just gonna say I agree with all y'all on this though, because like the reason why the turnover is so high is like people are just here to collect a few, maybe like in 60 days, get like probably 50 to 70,000 attention, then they're gonna go start a few businesses. When I talk to a lot of bus operators on the 241 side, some CAs and a few rail operators as well, some of the new people that's coming in, they're like, man, I'm here for the money, but I'm also here because I'm trying to start a few businesses. And it ain't nothing wrong with that for real. So a lot of people ain't staying around that long no more anyway, because everybody's like, everybody trying to be that entrepreneur. And it ain't nothing wrong with it, if you know what I mean. So that's probably why the turnover rate is so high. So people just looking for a job with great benefits, and ain't no CPA will give out these job loans with their credit unions and stuff, like the downhill 77th Street Depot and stuff. So like that's probably why it's all high. Now you get a thing like you said, they trying to bring stuff back to pre-pandemic levels. But from what a few bus operators out of 103rd Street around by my house, they talking about no, they got people still quitting left and right. That's how certain people keep staying around because that's how they see more to keep going. They got people quitting and stuff. So there's a lot of stuff going on 241 and 308 side that needs to be be talked about too as well, like y'all said. So, but to talk about the rent increase too, man, I think my mortgage went up to from 2019 before I even came here. My mortgage was like 1,200. It done went up, I believe, to 17.
And that went up because of insurance and taxes.
Taxes and insurance. That's right, brother. That's right. So you already know. So you're right. Like food is too high, gas is really too high, rent and mortgage is all too high, man. Like nobody can really make it out here. And everybody that's coming in, they thinking like, oh, the money's good and all that. I heard that the pension is good and everything. Now that's true, the pension is good and stuff, but do you really see all that money after taxes though? I look over my check stubs every 2 weeks. Matter of fact, I look at all of them, and I'd be like, man, I, they was taking out a lot. Like it's too much. And I often ask myself, do Metro and then be having that same problem as well? And you know
Does
what I mean?
what
Like
does what you ask yourself? Does what have the same problem?
Metro.
Metro. Okay.
And and I was wondering that and about our New York counterpart too as well. I'm like, man, do they be having these same problems that we having too? Like, cause I just be wondering a lot about our other agency counterparts. Like, what about Pace? What about like with Metro and all that? Like, do they be having these problems? They be taking this much money out for their pensions and all that. I just be wondering. That's it.
Yeah, and that's why we have meetings like this that are open so that we can reach out to them and they can reach out to us. And I'm always trying to communicate with others, workers in different agencies and railroads. And Brother Jamal, the answer is yes. Now, is it the same way? No, right? So at Metro, for example, you might have more take home pay, but you might have furlough, for example, not necessarily for maintenance, but for the operation side. Um, so an unpaid furlough. So, it all depends on how they're screwing us. And this is why anything we do really when it comes to wages and working conditions is actually more than just at the CTA. It's citywide, it's statewide, it's nationwide. And that's why 100 years ago, yeah, 100 years ago, um, people just like us were getting together in union halls and churches and lodges and organizing general strikes. Am I calling for a general strike? No, I'm not calling for a general strike. I'm telling everyone the history of how we got here. And maybe we can use what happened as a guide for what we need to do. Um, so did anyone else want to comment about wages before I jump into the next part of um, the terrible agreement? I mean, tentative agreement. Okay. You're like, man, you're just a bad man. I guess so. I'm bad for the wicked, okay? People say that brother Eric, he doesn't give a F. No, I do, actually. I do. It's our employer that doesn't give an F. Okay. So we dealt with the wages, right? So anyone, it's any because we got a lot of people on the call. They're saying no lag period without a wage increase. Let's talk about job security. I know I'm not sure if he can speak right now, but brother Eric Slater, unjustly terminated bus operator, hopefully will be back at the CTA soon. He was explaining how the layoff clause, Article 12 in the contract, is actually hurts the union members. Not that we shouldn't have it, but that it exists as a way to placate to our employer. And then it pits the part timers versus the full timers.
Yeah, you want me to speak on that?
I, in fact, Eric, you speak on whatever you want to speak on, but I was hoping maybe since that's the next part in this
10-4.
terrible
Yeah, so
agreement.
just briefly on that question, the layoff protection is really upside down. A corporation can always threaten to lay off any worker at any time. It's a relationship of forces that determines whether it happens and how much. It's a relationship between really the working class and the union in question, or if workers don't have union. What the contractual quote layoff protection is really saying is something to the effect of the union may fight for the higher seniority workers, but for the lower seniority workers, we will not protect. Go ahead, lay them off. You have our written permission. And I think that basically that's what it's saying. It's a company concession, not a worker demand or benefit, as we call it. We know this because it tends to tear the union apart, pitting high seniority workers against lower. This makes us less capable of waging real contract struggles in the long term. And we're currently paying the price for this, for accepting these concessions over decades. And companies, not just CTA, but companies all over the place have learned to play the long game of tearing us apart from inside our own organizations. We should refuse to play this game against ourselves and future generations. And that's what I have to say about that particular part of, if that's where you're on.
Yeah, and I said Article 14. I was mistaken. Article 12.8. And I was going to bring it up so people could see it because it's like we don't even get a contract, which is ridiculous, right? Brother Eric, there's this whole issue about us being given a summary of a tentative agreement, and we don't even have copies of the contract for the members.
Yeah, I was just talking to a lawyer a few minutes ago, and he's like, "Well, how can I look at this? It's not the real document. It's a summary. It's an opinion from the union officials." Now, keep in mind what's happened. I've been a board member for 3 terms. I know you're a board member currently. I'm Eric Slater over at Local 241, and I've seen a lot of contracts negotiated, quote unquote, negotiated. What really happens is it's very strange at the CTA. What happens is the top union officials, not the executive board. I was never allowed in any backroom meetings and discussions for a good reason.
You say top union officials, you
Yeah,
mean president and vice
yeah,
president?
yeah, right. So what I've seen is some of the full-time officers making over $100,000 a year. President, first vice president, and they might bring a recording financial secretary, they might bring in a lawyer. And I've seen 4 or 5 administrations. As a board member, I've seen 2 different presidents and lots of different managers. So what they do is they have these private discussions, and the CTA, like any employer, tries to judge or gauge the combativity, the organizational strength of their enemy, which is us, right? They may be friendly at times, but in practice, their interests are opposed to ours and our families and our communities, and frankly, even the riding public, who is really should be on our side in these concentration these contract negotiations, because the good working conditions for the workers, especially the frontline workers, the maintenance workers, actually directly impacts the public. So what I've seen over and over again is the employer at some point, without really telling the top union officials, like they're really pulling their chains like it's a movie or something, and they tell the union officials, this is what you need to go put down and tell the workers they need to vote yes on. It's absolutely not a negotiation, even in a formal sense. I mean, I heard from your president, she said that for one day, they say, well, 5% is too little. Give us some more. And they came back over a series of hours. We're not talking about days, months, and years, which supposedly negotiations have been going on in CTA, but they upped it a little bit. Keep in mind, this is the time when we're seeing 40% increases in wages with the dock workers, 25% increases of the auto workers, massive increases when the unions prepare for struggle and actually prepare for a real strike, and sometimes actually put forward a strike, like we saw with the auto workers and the rail workers. So in this context, it's as if the employer is laughing at our union negotiations, saying, you want 7.75%, which does not even match on inflation. It does not match, of course, the 33% they gave to their top official, the CTA, head of CTA, et cetera. So it's really not a negotiation in the first place. But first, it's just not. Negotiation is the last place. It's the most dangerous place for the union. Um, the whole process is upside down. Negotiation is the most dangerous part of the larger contract struggle, not the first and only part of the campaign of a contract campaign. Once again, here at 241 and 308, the employer is giving the top union officials a contract offer at the last minute. They're only giving us a couple days to think it over and to vote, and expecting the union officials to work for them to sell it to us through deception, which we're going to go through hopefully here and go line by line about how they're deceiving us or attempting to, bribes. They're paying off. They're paying union board members and stewards to be on property to go to the CTA properties to sell the company's contract offer, and also threats. They're also threatening us with arbitration, which goes to some judge that has no interest in us. So that whole process is upside down. What does a strong union do? This is not a strong union, unfortunately. It has been the case for a long time. What do? We democratically decide as a union what we want in our contract. I'm sure, Eric, you've talked about sick days or time off for any reason for our family, our personal needs. You've talked about safety concerns. I'm sure I missed a few minutes here. We talk about what the passengers and the public need, right? They don't need no cuts in public transportation. They need better service, safer service, cleaner service. We talk about those as contract demands. We can look at the teachers union. They're doing some of that contract fight within their contract. They're trying to fight for the kids and the teachers and the parents and communities. So we go into contract campaigns to convince the population that our struggle is their struggle. That's what unions do when they're strong. We join with other unions and workers as part of the general working class because we can't really win as one union. As powerful as our 10, 15,000 families are, really we will be isolated from the population more generally if we do not join in with the class more generally. We could prepare to stop the buses and trains if we do not get what we in our community allies need. It's a need. It's not a want. If they refuse our legitimate demands and we have to stop the CTA in pace, then we can negotiate. We can negotiate beforehand if they understand and take seriously our strike threat. We can negotiate a restart of the buses and trains from that position of strength. When they actually believe us that we'll do what we need to get what we need for our passengers and our families. The backroom negotiation is the most dangerous part of the contract process because we lose what in the back room, what we won publicly in the street. So they've got this completely upside down that at the last minute they send us an offer from the employer. It's completely opposite. If workers haven't been in a union before, it's important that you understand how really wrong this is. And on that reason alone, I'm asking the ranks of 241 and 308, stand up for your self-worth. Don't accept the first deal presented to us. Vote it down and send the union negotiators back to the CTA to get a permanent contract protections. These are not permanent. They're just being extended. They're not actually in the book that you can take and get raises over and above inflation. Organize a real contract campaign to win our needs, not the employer's concessions. I've spoken a bit there. There's a few more to say, but I'll finish there.
Thank you, Eric. So I put on screen a couple things that go right along with what you're describing. And I want everyone on the call, everyone that's listening, you can do these things. You can organize these things. I did it as a part-timer. And people told me, hey, be quiet. Shh, wait until they turn you over. I still did it. I still got turned over, right? So, it's the way you do it. If you do it I'm not talking about way as in people say they don't like my approach. Man, I ain't talking about that silly crap. You don't like how I talk and how I look. Is he a white man? Nah, it's just silly stuff. That's silly stuff. He called the manager mismanagers. No, I'm talking about You can organize for mass action when you're off the clock, when you're not on CTA property. You can curse out the manager when you're not on the clock and when you're off CTA property. I do it all the time with the bullhorn. You've seen me, even standing by myself. But when you do these kinds of things, you show your coworkers that they can do it. I put this YouTube up here to show you you can go to the media when you're off the clock. And I tell the media everything that goes on. Do I name the managers? Do I name my coworkers? No. I talk about our working conditions. This is protected activity. I do it, you can do it. I put up on here this from the team from a Teamsters document, and this is exactly what Brother Eric was explaining. You at 308, all they're doing, they at best they'll take proposals for us, and then we get here to ratification. We might get some opening with some at the table. We don't know anything that's going on here except the second and the last stage. When it comes to away from the table, which is the most important thing, which Brother Eric mentioned, it's the one-on-one member mobilization, action, action. Not sitting in a room, being out there, like he said, talking to the writers, talking to each other, and get that community behind you. Then, as this at the table stuff, that's how it starts to form based on what we do away from the so called table. Go ahead, Kathy. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay, thanks. I'm sorry about that. I agree with what you said, both of the Erics. And speaking of one on one, this was quite a while ago, maybe 20 years ago, I'm not sure. It was when Jerry Williams was the president of 308, and I can't remember the name of that woman who was the president of 241, but Wanda. But
One black.
yeah, Wanda Black. But what happened was there was a lot of us that were against the contract, and it was before Facebook. We were against the contract. It was a bad contract for a number of reasons. And it was strictly one on one, word of mouth. We taught the switchmen at Howard and 95th and probably everywhere, and the bus drivers must have been doing the same thing. We talked to people and to vote no or why they should vote no. And it made a difference. We voted the contract down. But guess what happened in 308? Jerry Williams said, "Oh, not enough people knew about the vote. We have to revote."
Yeah.
So then they went around one on one talking to people, convinced the new people to accept the contract, and that's who got hurt by the contract the most. Well, anyway, I'm just saying, one on one, do that. And I'm wondering also if anybody could answer this question. How are the co-workers feeling about the contract? Are they going to vote no? Are they just saying, "Oh, just F it, we're going to get screwed anyway"? So what about that?
I give you actual thank you, by the way, for that historical insight. I'm going to show you. I'm going to put on screen right now for your enjoyment and all of the viewers the
Oh,
feedback we have so far that I have for my unofficial poll. I'm gonna bring this up for you um, right now. Hang on, it's coming up. It's coming up. All right. So here we have so far. Now it's 67 responses. This is my poll limited to my network, right? Which is a combination of maintenance and operations, bus and rail. But of course, it's my contacts are just a couple hundred when it's well over 1,000. But seven 95% are no for this 7.75. And 94% believe that the president should consult with members before negotiating. 92% that responded are in local 308. Okay. So again, like I said, this is my network, right? It's very limited. Um, but here's some of the comments, and I've heard this from bus people too. It's a slap in the face. 25% or better. And this is all public. Our presidents have probably looked at this. Not making sense. So you really don't fight for anything. We can do better for our repairmen. And a lot of my because I'm in the maintenance, the mechanics of the trains, the repairers and servicers. We're gonna get a lot of this. Unacceptable insult. Shameful. Pennies. Maybe that's why she likes it. Oh, buddy. This sucks. We must impeach Penny. Oh my God. Um, it just goes on and on. I mean, I don't want to take up a whole lot of time. It's disgusting. Nothing mentioned about the track department. We're always at the bottom of the barrel, and our job is just as important. I totally agree. It makes no sense that any maintenance or any worker at the CTA is less than 100% of what an operator rate is. It's all hard work. It's all hard work. It's dumb as hell. We deserve more. 20%. See, everyone wants double digits, and we deserve it. And like Eric Slater was saying, y'all got to think better of yourselves. Stop accepting this crap that the CTA mismanagement in their lie department is shoving on us, okay? All right, let's get through this thing because we're running out of time. Job security, we talked about that. Quality of life. Uh, we don't have any train operators on here, unfortunately. I really wanted that. But as a former train operator, how's that? I can speak for this. And first of all, anything for one line should be all the lines. And you don't say starting on the red line. And there's no dates. Okay, then what about the blue line? When is it? How long are we going to be starting? Is this a 2 year? Is this for the 2 year agreement? See, like we were saying, like Brother Eric was saying, where's the specificity here? Okay, so it should be whatever we do to help the operators, it must be all the lines, okay? Not just the red line. RTOs will have an improved work schedule, straight runs only, no swings. Okay, fine. But they're going to have extended recovery time? No. They're going to have two-person crews? No. Okay, so really, it's just a little bit of a break for those who don't want swing shifts. Um, and that's the majority, of course. So you get your maximum 9 hour report time through your TW, your through work time. All right. But is there anything in here that punishes CTA mismanagement for keeping us past our TW time? Besides the little yellow slip that we have to fill out and take time to do. No, there's not. So they'll just keep doing that, okay? Maximum lunch break reduced to 75, which is a swing issue, okay? But really, if you have a long lunch, but you have less trips, isn't that better? So this is not anything that is really benefiting us. All they're doing is shifting one thing to here, but it still weighs 2,000 pounds. So you're going to say, okay, I'm gonna have you instead of having you carry 500, 1,000 pounds in this hand and 1,000 pounds in this hand, you're going to carry 1,500 pounds in this hand. And you only have 500 pounds in this hand. So the whole thing for the operators sucks, in my opinion. Any comments on that line?
Uh, I gotta agree with you. I mean, I might have never operated, but if you notice that contract for them, it just don't sound right. Okay, you eliminating the swing shifts, like you said. Okay, cool. And to bring on another thing, you talk about like me. You talked about back some months back when I was working Green South as a CA, the two-person crews and stuff. I feel like they need to bring back a conductor, and I think they need to bring in some new positions as well. Like have a third person on that train, ride from one end of the line to the other, make sure everything goes good. Now, are they gonna see it as a waste of money? By their logic, yes. Is it a waste of money? In my opinion, no, because we're basically trying to ensure riders' safety and all that. But to be
Thank you.
honest with you, man, this contract do suck.
It
I
does.
ain't gonna I ain't gonna
And
lie to you.
and the platform services are absolutely overwhelmed. You did 95th platform. So
I done did 95th. I done worked Midway. I done did Forest Park. God, I hate that. I was coming from the hundreds. Oh Lord,
yeah.
that was
So
a long ride for me.
you
And
have
I'm
a
also,
yeah, go ahead.
and I also now I'm up at Howard now. So
Oh
I was
God.
at Midway. Yeah.
So you have a two-page bulletin, Brother Jamal, about platform cleaning. It's a two-page bulletin. Everything in there. Tell me, can you follow everything in that two-page bulletin? Because it doesn't say you can choose to do this stuff. No, it says you must do all this stuff. Can you do all of that on all your cars for every trip?
No, cause see, I'm gonna say like this. It's kind of a 50-50. So it's basically a yes and a no, depending on. Hold on, let me turn my radio off. Depending on the line you're on. Like if you're on the orange line, you would have enough time to clean that one train in like 3 minutes to do the seats and all that nonsense and everything. Excuse me. Depending on damn, depending on the seats that they're carpet, so you can't really clean them. You gotta take that to the shop and replace them. But if you got them clear, them non-carpet seats, you can GC those down. What I do, I GC down the motor cab for the operator and stuff. Like I have a lot of time when I was on the orange line. But when I'm on the red line now that I'm back over here, man, I ain't got time really to clean a damn thing. You got the 1011s on there messing up the damn train. Like, man. So the answer to that is no, man.
Yeah. And you see,
No.
we need more servicers on our platforms. We need one servicer per car. And then the highest seniority servicer can pick the motor cab, where all they do is clean the motor cab. Wipe it down completely, top to bottom, make it sweet smelling, because the servicers are like magic. When they're allowed to do their job, they make the train feel good. Okay, no
Right.
matter how much hell is going on around you on that train. When a servicer has gone in there and been able to clean that motor cab, that train operator is so happy. I know. When I used to do it.
100%. 100%. Because when I used to clean the motor cab out for an operator who was on the orange line, I might as well say the name. Kim Rose, she's like, "Damn, you be doing a good job with these motor cabs over here." I'm like, "Hey, enjoy it while you can." I done got bumped out of Midway, so
Yeah.
I can't do my full work really
No, it's
up at
impossible.
Howard Street
It's
because the
impossible.
trains are like this. They're every 2 to 4 minutes they're going out, and that's doing rush hour, and that's a little understandable. But even when there's like let's say even when it's not rush hour, let's say it's a weekend, the trains are still going out like that. Just keep on going. So it ain't really no time to really. You don't even have time really to sweep the damn floors.
Nope.
Jamal,
So
I really agree with your two-person crew point. That's something we could win in the public because that's just so dangerous. You got 1,000 people on the train and just one human being, one amazing superhuman person handling all those lives. We just saw another 180 people died on that plane in South Korea just a few days ago. We see it over and over again. At what point are they're going to blame us, right? Remember when the blue line, when the operator hit into the station, they're always going to blame us. Then when we demand for the safety conditions for our passengers and ourselves, they say, well, wait, discuss it in contract negotiations. Well, that's exactly what they're taking away from us right here. The CTA, the employer, put their contract demands or they think the thing they think they can get away with, but not ours. When I was first elected a board member, I remember the president at that time was Tommy Sams. He brought in a committee of retirees. A lot of them were former officers of the union. And they had discussions and debates and went line by line on every part of the contract. And they had a 45-page document they handed to the executive board, which talked about what they wanted to remove from the contract, what they wanted to add, and what they wanted to change. It was a beautiful document, right? It was talking about some of the things you're talking about the actual precise things where we have demands. Then what you're supposed to do, a normal union prints the contract book. Every single member doesn't, you don't need a union rep. You don't need someone who's taken classes or whatever. You and your coworker can take that book like it's your union Bible and bring it to the manager. Eric was talking about collective actions. You can do some of that stuff on the property too. You say, manager, you are breaking the contract. You bring 10 of your coworkers with you. If you can bring your union rep, do so too. And say, stop breaking our contract. It says here in black and white, this is our rights. And so when they come to us with this contract negotiation, this tentative agreement, it's completely upside down. It's not us talking about what we want over time, the ranks of the union, and then finding a document that we want, that we're willing to fight for, and then going into the public and saying, if you don't give us these things, you're not going to have public transit service. And we're going to join with our other brothers and sisters in other unions and other sections of the population. And if we don't get it, shut it down. So all the stuff we're talking about here should be internally discussed within the organizations, then formally participate in a contract campaign. And it's not. So those bases, we should get those. That's the reason to be in a union. You're paying all them union dues for it so that you can direct it as the ranks. Every member can participate in this. This was taken away from us. We should vote no.
Hey, Eric,
Yeah.
we got 15 minutes left. I want Jamal to go, and then I want us to get all the way through these paragraphs. But go ahead, Jamal.
No, for sure. Okay. So what I wanted to know when he said that with the other unions, are we talking about, like, I know we're talking about 241, but are we talking about like with the iron workers here, and are we talking about other unions like with Metra, Pace, and the Chicago teacher? Are we talking about everybody just citywide, or are we talking nationwide?
Well, first locally, definitely. There's brothers and sisters in struggle right now. I think Eric was bringing up the teachers are in contract. There's several strikes going on currently here in Chicago. We should be going to their picket lines and trading notes. We have so much in common with the other sections of the working class. Yes, some of us, some of the top tiers of the CTA are making a higher wage, but really, what are we actually bringing back? What does our actual work-life balance look like? What is the safety conditions? What is needed for the public? These are things we have a lot in common. And so when for instance, Eric and others have been fighting for a sick leave policy. Well, that's something that all workers need. We need time off from our work to be able to take care of our families and ourselves. And that's something that could be part of a broader demand.
Hey, Eric.
Yeah, I'll finish.
I really want to finish this up at noon. So I want us to hit the EAP. All right. Now normally it's 3 years. You work here 3 years, part-time, full-time, you drop dirty, you get caught at a random or whatever it is, someone reports that you smell like weed, and you get caught. And if you've been working here 3 years, you can go ahead, keep your job, but you're going to take you off duty, make you go to drug treatment. You're going to make less, you're going to get less pay, but at least you'll have your job after treatment. You can come back to work. Well, instead of 3 years, we got it down to 2 years, right? But we all know that our coworkers and us, when we get drunk, when we get high, it's not because we're evil. It's because we're self-medicating, right? We're stressed out. We're dealing with stuff, and we're not dealing with it properly. And most of that is what related to our crappy working conditions. But Eric, what do you have to say, or anybody else? Raise your hand or just say something about this wonderful. Now it's going to be 2 years instead of 3 years. Go ahead.
I have something briefly to say.
Let's look in the chat real quick. It's a state law for sick leave. Yes, sir, Brother Robert. Go ahead, Eric. Give us a brief
so this was
breakdown
something
of this EAP improvement.
as a board member, I've had to defend hundreds of workers, and oftentimes when management was trying to fire a worker, they would quote unquote offer the EAP program. My understanding is it's management's prerogative. and it's not organized through the union to defend it so that everyone gets the same rights. It's something that the management can offer. So if you have a worker who's an activist or a unionist, then they may not get that if they don't kiss the butt of the manager, et cetera. And that's not good contract language. It's better that it's 2 years versus 3 years, but uh, it really should have strong language where the union, the workers should control this right, just like our
Yes,
seniority rights. That's why we have
yes.
seniority, so that we can stop the management from playing favorites
All
and
right.
giving someone else.
Let's look at health insurance premium. Okay, we got this wellness program, so we're gonna tell Cigna, hey man, I go to the gym, I'm doing this, I got my steps, here's my this, here's my that, and you're gonna give me 20 bucks off my $300, whatever the hell that premium is now. What do you think of that? Anybody
Yeah,
got something to
I
say
want to
about that?
I want to speak on that, Eric.
All right, make it brief, brother. Make it concise, but
Yeah,
be raw.
that's a slap in the face, and that's a damn joke. This union should be ashamed. $20? What the hell is $20? They need to be fighting to reduce our health care premiums, not trying to force us to get into motivate me. If we participate in the 5K run, if we participate in the volleyball, the softball, the basketball, we get $20. What the hell is $20?
It's zero. It should be zero cost. Um, all right, no givebacks. They love to say this every time. We're not giving up anything. We're not conceding. There's no concessions. I already said what I thought about that. What do y'all think of that?
Well, we don't know because they only given us 3 pages of the TA instead of the full contract or the full TA. They claim it's going to come in the mail before the election on January 7th, but I think that's a lie. I think that's uh deceivement. We'll see if the full TA comes in the mail before January 7th, like Penny McCoach and Keisha Hill said.
And plus, the concessions are already written into the contract about the insurance will be going up. When is it? Every year, whenever
Yeah,
they want it to? Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's a concession. That's written into the contract. What's another concession? Oh, part-time jobs written into the contract.
yeah.
What else? Oh, you don't get your pension until you're, I don't know, you've been here however many years. That's another concession. The
26
eight, what?
26 years and you got to be 65 years old.
Okay, there's another concession, 65 years old. And people don't start paying into the pension until they've been, when they're part-timers, they can't afford it, but that's hurting the pension and it's hurting the members.
Well,
It just makes you
I
want to pull your hair out.
I got a question for y'all on the issue of no. It says no concessions, right? No givebacks, right? So, attachment uh, O of our contract regards the second chancellors on the rail side. All right, it says explicitly the the apprentices will clean rail cars at the rail stations. That's it. They're not supposed to be in the yard. Not supposed to be on exterior wash. Not supposed to be cleaning toilets. They're not supposed to be general cleaning. It says on the rail will clean the trains at the rail stations. That's at the terminals. So the CTA now has those poor people doing everything that a full time servicer does, but at the slave wage rate with zero benefits. Is that a concession if the union and the CTA refuse to strengthen the language that enforces that these people will only clean the rail cars at the rail stations? Is that a concession when they don't want to put in language that stops the CTA from abusing the second chancers? Tell me.
Absolutely.
This is a red line. Wow. You is 100% right, brother Basir, on that. Cause I was kind of confused when I was at Midway. I'm like, everybody told me, yeah, we second chance. We gotta go do exterior wash. I'm like, I thought second chance we were only supposed to do the platform. Now I'm like, okay, I said I probably done missed out on maybe a few of their union meetings or something. Maybe I missed out on some things. So, because I was, I'd be saying to myself. So I was like, so wait, now they got them doing exterior wash. Now they can GC. Now they can do platform, and they got them working this week little 16.50 an hour, as you call it, the slave wage,
Yep.
and all that. So
Yep. And what
that's
about
confusing.
this? What about this, Jamal and anybody else? In our contract, it says all CTA employees, it's called night premium. I want to show it to you. I want to show it to you. You're going to read it. We're going to look at this together. Night. Come on. Oh, shoot. I forgot I got to look for some reason. It's not loading. Night premium, Article 4.1. I want to show you this real quick. We're going to do a little classwork right here. I said 4.1, right? All right. Night premium goes to all hourly rated employees. So why is it that the clerks aren't getting it? Do you know you have clerks that work midnights? They don't get 50 cents more an hour? I know this sucks. It should be by percentages, not cents. And they work PMs. They're not getting it. We have part-timers. Of course, now there's language up there in the part-timers that say it, but let's just deal with this then. So because Local 308 and 241 presidents don't want to make sure that there's a word in here to make it clear that this is for everybody, because it does say all, is that a concession? Right? Don't you think it's a concession to not put language or not enforce that?
Yeah, it is. You're
Absolutely.
right.
Because nothing in here is about enforcing anything that exists. And this is for 308. Now, if we go to 241, we have what's called the I don't have it in here. I got to put it in here. But in 241, we have they got the 8 hour guarantee in there, right? Damn, just had it.
Can I speak on that briefly?
Please.
Okay, so I was able to listen to the executive board member from 103rd Street Garage, so that's the bus operators, and she did a long Facebook Live like we're doing now. I wasn't able to see all of it, but I did hear her say that that the 8 hour guarantee has, quote, now been contractually established. So just to clarify, what that is if you if CTA gives you a shorter run, like a 6 hour or 4 hour run, they're contractually required to pay you the full 8 hours because you're a full-time worker. What they've been able to do in previous administration is take away that, make concessions, and make it so that you have a 40 hour guarantee potentially, or an 80 hour guarantee over a 2 week period. And if you miss a day, if you're sick or something like that, or you can't show up to work, then you lose all of those hours. So the 8 hour guarantee is a positive thing for us. Now, the Hill administration and I guess it was before the McCoach administration, but they previously had this kind of MOU, this side agreement that was temporary. And so if we signed on the dotted line that we accepted the contract, then the CTA would temporarily extend things like not increasing our healthcare premiums, which they have stopped doing that, or they will continue this temporary extension of an 8 hour guarantee. So I just say to this board member, I was a board member for 3 terms. Firstly, we haven't voted. It's not true that this has now been contractually established. The TA document we have been given says, quote, extends for the life of the agreement. So that means at the end of 2026, which would it be? And then we'd have to do it all over again and again and again. And the CTA is going to use this as a threat every contract negotiations. What we need is it actually in the book that we have, that we put in our bag and carry with us at all times, just like our other things that we have, a courtesy card kit as bus operators we use. We have all our tools of the trade. Our union contract is a necessary tool of the trade. And I say just last thing, and I'll shut up, is that the only thing that's going to get us a good contract is us and our allies mobilized. If this contract is a contract from CTA management, not because of our power, of our authority as workers in our communities, if we haven't forced and received, they said uncle and given us these things, then we absolutely should not vote this up. It's not from us, and we can't defend it.
Thank
It's
you.
not from us.
And again, we'll go back to what this basic outline in negotiating that the Teamsters put out. Mobilization, action, community mobilization. That is totally missing from what Penny and Keith are giving us. And we cannot accept this, okay? If I was president, a local 308, if Eric was president, a local 241, and we're on this call with all of you now, if we were in the same situation, we would have to apologize to the members for having been a part of this mess. And now to repent and to atone and make things right, we have to go to the members and tell them this is what we're going to do. Because it's you that runs this union, not us. We serve you. But what's happening now is that Keith and Penny are what? Serving the employer, not the membership. All right. And they're certainly not in any state of mind to apologize for anything, because they believe that they are elected to be our boss. They really
No,
believe it.
they don't apologize to us. They tell us stupid things like you should be glad you got a job.
Yeah. And if you really piss them off, they'll call you a faggot. You know, it's disgusting. It's disgusting. It's just the stuff that they do. It's just outrageous, and they get away with it. All right, last point, and we're done. I'm sorry, y'all, that I didn't have the 241 details in there. It's just so much crap that I tried to stuff into things, and it's just hard to keep up. And plus, I'm blocked on everything, and nobody wants to share nothing with me that has information. So I gotta dig and dig. Last part. A no vote will send the ATU and CTA to interest arbitration, where an arbitrator will weigh the concessions that the CTA demanded and will decide what will be in your contract. Wage increases, if any, will be delayed for many months, if not years, and the terms of the contract will be entirely up to the arbitrator. Now, this is written by the lawyer. Penny and Keith did not write this. Me, Robert, Eric, and Kathy have been reading Penny and Mark and Keith's own writing. They have not written any of this. They don't write like that. Okay, this is proper grammar. This is smooth marketing. This is written by a lawyer, a skilled writer. All right, now I'm going to make one point on this, and then I want each of y'all to tell us what you think of this last paragraph. My response to this is, why is it that every single month our union leadership tells us that we have to grieve violations of the contract, we have to grieve the write-ups, we have to grieve stolen wages, which what? Ends up sending the grievance to what? An arbitrator. Now we have this tentative, terrible agreement that you're shoving down our throat. We have a natural revulsion, a gag reflex to this. And you're telling us, look, if you don't take what we're feeding you and swallow it, the arbitrator is going to give you something that might taste worse. But every single month, you're telling us the arbitrator is good for us. And actually, it isn't. But you everything goes with arbitrator, don't arbitrate. Yes, arbitrate, no arbitrate. That's all our union does. And now all of a sudden you don't want to arbitrate. You don't want to take the chance that an arbitrator might have to rule on something, and then we might have to decide if we even want to obey that arbitrator. Because it will be like law, right? But is that what you told our black ancestors who were told to go sit in the back of the bus? Well, it's the law. It's the law. It's the law. They're going to put you in jail. They're going to crack down on you. So all of this is messed up. This is all about fear. Fear and making you afraid to speak up and make these bootlicking, boss-living union sellouts go back to the employer and tell them, hey, look, the members, they don't like this. This is what they want. Because they don't want to do it. But what we got to do is to vote no. We tell our coworkers, vote no. And then we tell these sellouts, either you do what we democratically direct you to do, or we will put Section 22 charges on you and remove you from office immediately. All right, who's next?
I could say something real quick. I liked what you said about what did people do in the past? Fight against slavery. Slavery was legal. Apartheid was legal. Jim Crow laws were legal. So yeah, we might have to break the law, or you all might have to break the law. But it's either that or keep getting less and less and less until this job is a totally part-time job with lower wages. And there was there was that last both of the strikes, um, over 40 years ago or 50 years ago, they were wildcat strikes. A few people got fired, but only a very few handful. And part of the demand of the strike could be nobody gets fired or we ain't coming back.
Or return to
And
work, people are fired.
what?
Or return to work, the people have been fired. That's a normal contract. That's a normal demand. When you go back to work, everybody who's been fired, they're back to work. Or we're not
Right,
going back
right.
to work.
Right. So a strike is the only way. The thing about negotiations, and then this will be my last comment. The thing about negotiations is w- that right now the union, I mean, negotiate. You don't even have any strength or power. You're not negotiating nothing. You couldn't negotiate a roll of toilet paper. They don't have the strength. And like Eric Slater said, they just accept what the company said. Or maybe that was Eric Basir, but they just accept what the company offers. And so a strike, that's the only way.
Thank you. Anybody else? And then we're gonna close out because we're at 12:06.
Well,
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
actually agree. I think we need to do a strike. Actually, I think 241 and 308 and all the other transit counterparts in the state of Illinois alone, which just concedes a metro and pace. We all need to band together and and strike. And can I also add to the point of what one of my other coworkers said? The problem with CTA, like you said, is actually mismanaged, and the leadership here actually do suck. That's it. They actually hire people that was actually who actually ran something in public transportation instead of hiring people who were managing like people that are managers. One person she asked me, she said, I forgot what she said, but she said something. And I'm like, in my head, I was saying, how the hell did you get a manager position and you don't? What the heck? Well, yeah. So I think we need to negotiate a better contract and stop with the DEI hiring BS because it's obvious that certain people do not know how to run the city that well to run public transportation. Yeah.
All
I
right.
want to say
Oh,
something real quick, Eric.
yeah.
Yeah, I would just want to say that just think about this. There are 18 unions at the CTA. None of the other 16 unions, they never have issues. They never have issues like pay increases, working conditions. We're the only two unions at the CTA that's always getting screwed. And, you know, it's primarily people of color in these two unions. So that could be the reason why. But just something to think about.
I I have to disagree a little bit on that because I stay in touch with quite a few uh, coworkers in the other unions, and um, It's not necessarily the same, but it's not necessarily better or worse as far as working conditions and stolen wages and pay. So, but your point is clear. Um, we are abused tremendously, especially by our own union leadership. And we um, are in a unique position compared to the others. And that is when you look at their collective bargaining agreements, which I highly recommend everybody do, especially everyone who says we need to just leave the ATU and join the local 134. Would you, for God's sakes, before you say you want to join another union, would you please read the contract that they have with the CTA and read the constitution of their union? And what you're going to find is the grass is greener in some cases, but in all cases where the grass is greener, it's poison. So, we have crappy grass in ATU, but we have green grass that's poison in the other unions. So either way, you're gonna have a hazard. Okay? You got crappy grass full of grubs and disease. Or you have green grass that's full of poison. Okay? So it sucks either way. But I'm not saying that against anything you said, Brother Robert. I'm speaking mostly to those who say we should just leave this union, which is fine, but we can't leave it unless we organize. And that's what we're trying to do here. So, brothers and sisters, if you want to leave the ATU and make a better union, guess what? You better vote like hell to shoot down this terrible agreement, and you better put charges on Penny, Keith, Mark, Woodrow, Michelle Townsend, Tion, Toilet Man, Gatewood, and all them bootlickers and remove them from office. Otherwise, don't come to us talking about it doesn't make a difference. We just have to leave the union. We need another union. We need an outside union. But you don't want to fight? Then we'll get that outside union. We'll get that other union. And guess what? We'll get sold out again. Y'all got to stand up and we got to go to these bus garages, damn it, every day of the week, talk to our dear beloved bus coworkers, maintenance and operations, and
Yep.
tell them, please vote no. And so
That's
on.
what we
Yes.
Robert, can you post up the flyer?
Yeah.
that's what we
And
finna do.
we have a meeting on Saturday.
Yes.
Just real quick on what the lawyers wrote. I agree. It's probably the lawyers who wrote it. Remember what Penny McCoach said. She claimed that there was a brief period of negotiation, probably for a few hours. So when CTA said, we're going to give you 5%, did she immediately say, we're going to go to arbitration? No, she said, give us something better. And they upped it to like 5.5%. They went back and forth for a few. That's what she claimed happened. Okay, I believe it, right? They went from when we should be having 25 or 40%, they're going from 5 to 7.75. Okay, so why can't we do that? The employer knows what the union officials are. They know they control them, and that we do not control the union officials. They're their union. They literally call it their union when they
Yep.
talk about this, right? It's
Yep.
it's I agree with a lot of what Eric was saying there about the grass is maybe pure greener, but the whole labor movement has some of these same problems we do. It's particularly bad in some ways in our local 241, especially in 308, but it's really the same thing. The ranks of the union have to step up and take control of their organization and run it. And we need to elect leaders that want to do that, that are assisting or at least getting out of the way of the ranks. That's the main thing I think leadership can do, is get out of the way. And by the way, the employer is it's not just the employer, it's who they work for. It's really the ruling class, the super wealthy of the Chicago region. And by the way, what we do here impacts other parts of the country and other parts of the world. This is the US empire we're talking about here. This isn't just some small thing. They think they have us on the back foot because of our misleadership. They have us in the back foot because they see the divide between some of our wages and the wages that you can get in other jobs in the working class. But they are really afraid of us. That's why they don't just talk with the corrupt union officials. They come and they want your vote, or they want you to refuse to vote, right? They want you to say, yes, I promise, because they know how powerful you are. They know how powerful you are in your community and your family, and how the work that you do is so disproportionately powerful. And that's why when they say they get your signature for another 2 years, it's a promise from honorable people that we will not strike the buses. That's what they want. And by the way, they're willing to give us a lot more to get that promise. We can, if we are able to get a significant no vote. Remember, you're not told. They don't know if you're voting no. Go into the garages and vote no and see what happens, right? And the thing what will happen is the union officials will scramble, just like what our sister Catherine was saying. They said, "Oh no, well we can't. We have to redo the vote and everything like that, right?" They'll shake them a little bit for some more money they claim they don't have. They have billions and billions of dollars. We're worth that much.
Eric,
So for
we
your own
gotta wrap
self-respect,
it up. You got
vote
30 seconds,
no.
brother. 30 seconds.
Vote no, and continue the struggle. This is not the end of the struggle. Thanks for letting me say those words.
Thank you. And I know Brother Jamal was interjecting there that he's definitely supportive. And we're talking to coworkers. Jamal, you're an organizer now. You've been recruited. So
hey, look, I'm gonna do my best what I can do. I'm thinking I'm gonna go talk to some of my bus colleagues as well at 103rd Street Garage, and I might try to make a quick stop to 77th Street,
yeah,
probably on one of my off days on Thursday. So I'm gonna probably try to see what I can do. If I'm not busy on Thursday, I can go and talk with them, see if they like their contract or not,
yep,
and everything.
beautiful. Beautiful. Do whatever you do, brother. Even if all you did was send a text message to 3 people, everything makes a difference, brother. Everything you do makes a difference. All right, everybody. That's it. Overtime. But thank you for listening. This is going to go on YouTube. I'm going to download this immediately. And we are going to have these flyers that I put up on the screen. Feel free to download it. Feel free to print it. We want to meet and discuss this stuff and plan a strategy so we can join with Jamal and others to go to these bus garages and talk to our coworkers. If we can't go to the bus garages, then we'll ride the bus. We won't hand them a flyer, but we will talk to them when they pick us up and they drop us off.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
Hey,
Thank you.
Eric, can I make a quick announcement real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, just to let everybody know, workers, all CTA workers, 241-308, we will have a meeting, an in-person meeting this Saturday, January 4th at 10:30 a.m. We will be meeting at Culver's restaurant on 35th and Keene Drive. Please come out, tell us your opinions on this TA. We'll have flyers to pass out to tell you, to give you reasons why you shouldn't vote it down. And we hope that you can come out this Saturday at 10:30 at Culver's. Thank you.
Thank you. And if everyone should see that flyer, everything that he's talking about, you should see on the screen right now. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. Thanks for joining.
All right. Yep, y'all too.
Bye bye.